When it comes to the Democratic Party, homelessness is not a problem to be fixed or something to be solved, but instead it is an opportunity to make some bread. Homelessness is a business, it is an industry. We have what we call the homeless industrial complex. Now, for those of y'all who may be new to this idea, I'm going to break it down the most simple way possible. There is money being made off of homelessness. That's right, folks. How can you have the likes of a Gavin Newsom over here in California, where I've lived for close to 20 years of my life now? How can you have $23 billion of taxpayer funds go towards fixing, eradicating homelessness and end up having worse off homelessness? How does the problem get significantly worse with $23 billion? Now, mind you, it was said that if we just took $20 billion, it would solve the problem of homelessness in California. We got $3 billion extra, $3 billion on top of that. And the problem is significantly worse. Matter of fact, it's not just worse, it's the worst it has ever been in the state's history. And I would not be surprised if it's the nation's history, right? The problem is out of control. And I used to have this, this misguided perception. I used to believe that, surely the homeless problem is caused by, systemic injustice, right? The haves and the have-nots. I genuinely believe that that's what this was about, right? Surely it has very little to do with the fact that these neo-Marxist politicians are looking to have greater control of a population, so they would rather have a poor population than they would have a wealthy one. I thought it was the billionaires' fault, because that's what they tell us. If it wasn't for the billionaires taking everything, right? Like the dude who created the Pillow Pet, you know what I mean? Who made $1 billion off of that. A chick who created Spanx. Like, these people are the reason why there is such vast homelessness. And that's what the government has used as tactics for generations at this point. During FDR's regime, and I'm gonna call it exactly what it is, right? Let's say during his presidency, during his regime, you had a move towards, the tycoons of industry. They're the problem, and the government is your solution. Now, I'm not saying that some of these figures, the Vanderbilts, or the Carnegies, or any of them, I'm not saying that they were innocent figures. Trust me. I don't know where my book is at, but, I'm finally getting into Rockefeller's biography or autobiography. And yeah, it's like there's complexities in this. But the fact that we have been, or not the fact that, but we have been lied to about the facts. Put it that way. We've been lied to about what actually creates these so-called systemic issues. And because the government itself, or these far left politicians, are so crafty in the way in which they communicate, because that's their means of power, right? Unlike a business person, a politician doesn't have to sell you a product or a service that you can, use, and you can say, this thing doesn't work for me. I'm not buying it anymore. I don't like your service. Instead, they get to get into a position based upon the words that they say. How convincing can they be? They stay in office and they do not have to spend their own money. Unlike a business who's going to have to be real tactful with every dollar they spend, because you could go out of business. These politicians know that they're going to have a continuous stream of money that they can even hike up by just hiking up those, those tax prices or different sorts of regulations and things of that nature. They know that it's never really going to be on them. And so we find ourselves here with the homeless industrial complex, where, again, the likes of Gavin Newsom and the rest of his crony politicians are creating an infinite stream of cash flow into their pockets. I recently listened to a story of a woman who was making $250,000 to quote unquote head one of these non-for-profits, right? She's making $250,000 to be the head of a non-for-profit whose job it was to house the homeless. And they looked into this woman's history, and it turns out that this woman was connected to some of the contractors and things of that nature. Again, a crony version of politics, right? So she's basically partnered up with some real, how can I put this? Real conflict of interesty type of individuals, right? Real conflict of interest where you are supposed to be an NGO, a non-for-profit, who is using these millions of dollars that are being funneled into your organization to create homes. And then you're creating these homes that are essentially going to cost multis of millions of dollars. For example, I think it was like close to how much was spent? $800 million to build out like 40 apartments. These are the type of numbers we're dealing with, 40 apartments. And the problem of homelessness is reaching well into the millions of people, right? 700, 800,000 people. And you're using close to $1 billion for 40 apartments. Now, mind you, this isn't even getting to the root of the problem, right? To deal with the mental health crisis. This isn't even dealing with the root of the problem as far as, the type of incentives that we have for criminality. Don't get me wrong. I completely empathize with those who are struggling and going through it. Trust me, I lost 3 of my best friends to ODs. So I know what it is to see people become an unrecognizable version of themselves and be gone to the drugs or whatever else it may be, right? To their psychosis. But it is disingenuous to say that some of these individuals are not choosing that lifestyle, that many of them are. I live in a place which they spent close to $40 million to take over this hotel space, turn it into housing for the homeless. Just up the way over here. $40 million. And the place is not even at 20% occupancy, folks. They can't fill the place up because there are so many of these homeless folks who simply will not get off of whatever their drug of choice is in order to fulfill the stipulations to get housing. Because they have the housing, they're not just going to allow that to become a dope house. They're not going to allow that to become a fiend house, a crack house. They say, if you want to live here, if you want to have this housing, if you want to have the support, and we'll give you food and, we'll help you get a job, get you cleaned up, get you through rehab, etc. There are resources, right? Now, again, this is a rare feature that's what happened over here. This is a much more red part of California. But even here, where they're actually, taking these concerted efforts and you see some of the money, how it's being moved, you still have folks who don't want to get off of whatever they're on, or they feel a sense of freedom being in the streets as opposed to being, in what they see is a prison of sorts where they can't do the things they want to do. So there's a reality of these types of individuals. There are those who commit multitudes of crimes and are allowed to roam the streets. There are those who are criminals or become criminals. And if we continue to justify that, we will continue to get the same results. It's not about empathy. There's a beautiful, beautiful slogan, which Dr. Godside, y'all should check him out. And he says, this is unaliving empathy. The actual word for unaliving, right? Self-unaliving empathy. That's what this is. You are literally unaliving yourself through your sense of quote unquote empathy. Oh, we feel so terrible for the criminal. Oh, but they had a hard life. And so we allow them to continue perpetuating their criminality. That's why when I speak on things such as, criminality within the Black community, etc., and these things being promoted, it doesn't mean I don't have empathy, that I don't feel some type. I care enough to say we need to get rid of this element. This has to go in order for us to grow, period. Otherwise, if this is perpetuated, we coddle it, we enable it, then we're going to continue to see the very same destruction. You have to solve the problem in as many ways, in a holistic approach. So yes, the mental health crisis, address that. Yes, address where people are, social, economic. Yes, but you also have to address the fact that some people just go make the decisions they make. It's like trying to, fix a narcissist or a psychopath or something of that nature. If they're just so given away to their psychopathy, they're far gone. You got to have that person locked up. They got to be in a prison, not in the streets because you feel quote unquote bad for them. And again, the Democratic or Democratic Party of this far left ideology, I'm not talking about you old school Democrats, etc., but the far left ideologues, they use these sorts of plays on our emotions in order to push these things. So how do they get billions and billions of dollars from us continuously? It's because, of course, they know that everybody will have a soft spot for we want to help the homeless, right? It's like saying, oh, we want to help the little kittens in the street that are suffering. And we're like, yeah, I'm not a damn monster. Of course, I don't want the little kittens to suffer. But then you come to realize that they were just using that. They were pressing that button. It's like racism, sexism. Well, you don't want to be a racist, do you? And you think to yourself, hell no, I don't. Of course not. No, I will give to BLM. I will give to that cause. Meanwhile, they're taking that money and funneling into personal endeavors, into personal purchases, into vacations and homes and all sorts of things, right? But that's the use of our own emotions. And we have to start looking at these things objectively. How did we not question an individual like Gavin Newsom? How do we not question, the mayors of Chicago or San Francisco and, you can go all the way to New York, their governor, let alone, the mayors within that space, within these cities. How can we continue to just kind of, let that go by the wayside? And that's the beauty of the age and the era that we live in, is that we do have the megaphone, we do have the voice. These platforms are giving us the opportunity to speak that truth to power. But we have to use that. In California, it's like we seen the rampaging of the fires in SoCal, and you got to think to yourself, like, what the hell is going on? Why would y'all continue to support this? Do you not understand that the very people that created this and allowed for this are the ones that you continue to bring back into office? You can be so far gone in your cult-like ideology that you will allow that abuser, because that's what they really are. It's like this narcissistic relationship. You allow the narcissist to continue to violate you in so many different ways. And it's like, how far is far enough? And that's why I do what I do. That's why I speak out in the way that I do. Some folks say, damn, man, you going in, you put out 3 videos a day and did it. And I'm like, look, I can't help myself. I am beholden to the truth and nothing else. I used to be beholden to a whole lot of things and, enough of the truth. So it's there. But I cared about what people would say. What would they call me? How would I be canceled? Would I be this? Would I be that? And I got to a place where I said, bruh, like, you're here with one purpose. You really have one job in this life. And that is to continue to tell the truth exactly how it is. Unapologetically. If it's the truth that has to be said, it has to be brought to light, because your voice is going to make a ripple effect. Then others are going to either research themselves, whatever it is, or they're going to be emboldened. People who know even more than me. I'm not the one with every single fact. I have an opinion and I have the facts that I have at hand. But when it's all said and done, it's about the bravery to just say what is common sense. And maybe I will embolden somebody else to speak the truth. But yes, all these issues they're all connected, because it's all the same game. It's like we have to say no to the corruption, which means we also have to live as people of integrity. We also have to know that we are spotless in that way. I'm not saying you're a perfect human being, but you have to have a sense of integrity. You can mess up, but it's like a lie. It's like, in relationships, like cheating is not a mistake. That's a decision that you made from a place of a lack of integrity. That's what that is. You can make excuses for it all day of where you were in your life, or whatever, but it's still that, and you have to take responsibility. And so in our personal lives, we have to take responsibility of how we move. And if we can move with integrity, the only reason I can show up on this camera, folks, time and time and time again, is because I really am this person. You're going to see me behind the camera. I'm this person in a coffee shop. I'm this person, at the house. I'm this person with my leg. I'm this person I'm this person at the store. I'm this person, I'm this person everywhere I am. This is who I am. Simple as that. That's what you get. I'm not trying to hide nothing. If you came and just spend a whole day with me, you see the exact same things that I'm speaking of right here. There is nothing to hide. There's a bed right there, and the damn blanket is kind of off kilter. The bed ain't even made too good from when I got up from the bed. It ain't even made to, like, I have nothing to hide. And when we can live from that place, then the truth just flows. Then you're tapped in. You're tapped into God, like, period. You're going to get the message, and you will have the courage to speak that out. And all it takes, 51% of the way, is just to bring something to light. And then there's a ripple effect, right? All you have to do is just turn the lights on, and the roaches will get to scattering.
I used to be afraid of the dark, a place unknown like a heart in their heart. I used to see my life in the bar. Now the kids unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2 step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right. You got a feeling the time's night. See you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 365, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises, you get to praising. They see your light shine.